Few British Prime Ministers have been portrayed in fiction as often as Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. The UK's PM from 1940 to 1945 and then again from 1951 to 1955. He was, in 2002, voted the nation's favourite Briton in a BBC poll, beating out Charles Darwin, William Shakespeare and Princess Di, with Gary Oldman the latest actor to don the fat suit in Darkest Hour out today. We thought we'd take a look back at some of the best on-screen Churchills. Advertisement. Continue reading below. 10. Christian Slater, Churchill, The Hollywood Years, 2004. Copyright Rex Shutterstock. Not your typical big-screen Churchill maybe, but Churchill, The Hollywood Years ain't your usual biopic. This comedy from the comic strip presents stable hazard that the roly-poly statesman like Churchill we know from history was actually a hired thesp named Roy Bubbles, with the real Churchill being a gung-ho American guy with a neat line in wisecracks. Christian Slater. Historians are generally agreed on the fact that this didn't happen. 9. Simon Ward, Young Winston, 1972. Copyright Getty Images. Before the podginess, before the cigars, before those rousing wartime speeches, Winston Churchill was a fat-free cavalry officer, stationed first in India and then in Sudan. A slimline Simon Ward plays the eager young soldier in this rip-roaring drama based on Churchill's own memoir, My Early Life, a roving commission. 8. Albert Finney, The Gathering Storm, 2002. Copyright Boy. If you've ever wanted to see Winston Churchill's bare buttocks, this is the movie for you. Or rather, it's Albert Finney's naked bum cheeks on show, as, in the film's opening scene, a clothes-free Churchill ambles over to the loo for an early morning pee. Trouble is, it only shows up how much slimmer Finney is than the wartime-era Churchill. 7. David Ryle, Two Men Went to War, 2002. Copyright Rex Shutterstock. In the 90s, David Ryle was the pub landlord in the World War II sitcom Goodnight Sweetheart, but by 2002 he'd graduated to playing the era's most famous political leader. It's not a massive part and the movie is fairly obscure, but he looks the part and totally nails Churchill's grouchiness. 6. Ian McNeice, Doctor Who, 2010. Copyright BBC. Possibly the only actor to have played WC who's actually larger than the real man, Ian McNeice's Winston is a cuddler, less waspish figure than most portrayals. Still, his turn in Doctor Who as the WW2 leader in Victory of the Daleks and The Wedding of River Song proved so popular that audio company Big Finish cast him in a series of spin-off sci-fi dramas titled Doctor Who, The Churchill Years. 5. Rod Taylor, Inglourious Bastards, 2009. Copyright Universal. Rod Taylor came out of retirement for what turned out to be his final film role, as Winston Churchill in Quentin Tarantino's blood-soaked war epic. It's a long way from his most famous role, as the beefcake lead in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. 4. Brendan Gleeson, Into the Storm, 2008. Copyright HBO. A rare non-Irish role for Brendan Gleeson, this one. He goes light on the vocal tics, but looks so much like Winston that you totally believe in him. 3. Timothy Spall, The King's Speech, 2010. Copyright Rex Shutterstock. Before his dramatic weight loss, the one-time Auf Wiedersehen pet star made an impressive Churchill in this Oscar-guzzing drama about King George VI's efforts to rid himself of his stammer in the months before his first wartime radio broadcast. 2. John Lithgow, The Crown, 2016. Copyright Netflix. There have been plenty of Brits who've played American politicians, Anthony Hopkins as Richard Nixon, Tom Wilkinson as Lyndon Johnson, over the years, so we shouldn't get too precious about an American actor playing one of ours. He doesn't look much like Winston, but there's something about the way Lithgow scrunches up his body that absolutely convinces. 1. Brian Cox, Churchill, 2017. Copyright Lionsgate. The movie itself may not have been much pop. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 49%, but all the reviews were agreed on the brilliance of Brian Cox, who played the great man in this historically shaky D-Day drama. Bonus ball. Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour, 2018. Copyright BBC. WERE not going to jinx any Oscar chances by judging the masterly Gary Oldman before the movie's officially out, but he is one of the nation's greatest screen actors, and going by the trailer alone, he really convinces as Churchill at the wartime height of his Churchilliness. Want up to the minute entertainment news and features? Just hit like on our Digital Spy Facebook page and follow on our @Digital Spy Twitter account and you're all set.